Hello, everyone. This is Live Gene speaking. Thanks for listening. I hope you're having a really good day. Today's episode is the second one of the series. Last time I talked about environmental issues and our position as humanity, as civilization on this planet, our position as thinking humans, and etc. If you didn't listen to it, it's posted on YouTube as environmental issues and human potential. But anyway, this episode is going to deal with another subject. It's archaeology. Archaeology is a really interesting subject because it kind of explains, or doesn't explain, but it kind of represents our wanting to know where we come from, what's the truth behind the past of civilization, of the mysteries of ancient cities, and where does human actually come from, humanity. I've been interested in this for some time, but especially this last year, I started researching this stuff, and I found out so much more than I expected to, because I realized that for most of my life I was taught, what school texts say, and the general knowledge that is out there, which much of it is valuable, but actually I found that much of it is actually just limited to a small fraction of what really has been going on since humanity exists. And I did this by researching on the internet other researchers and strange facts about archaeology, about history, because all the facts that we get from school and from mainstream conceptions of history are predetermined by a group of scientists that throughout history have theorized and found the evidence they could empirically study, and then they could theorize on and make hypotheses. But the thing is that this got actually out as a fact, and today we just think that that's the whole truth, and that civilization began some time ago, and that's the only time, and the cultures were there, and they were not interconnected in any other way. So much of this actually helped in deconstructing my preconception of humanity and reconstructing it in a kind of a mysterious way, because much of it is just so mysterious. But that's what this episode is about. It's about telling you some of the mysterious findings that have taken place in the last century that don't account or don't go hand in hand with the mainstream theories and the teachings of humanity and evolution. So to start by this, I would start by questioning our most basic belief of human origin, which is generally the Darwinian theory that challenged, creationism in 7 days made more sense at the time, and said that we were a product of a random series of events that actually made life prosper and develop and prosper in life, biological life, from living cells to microorganisms to small animals to bigger animals, terrestrial animals, and then to ape-like beings, and lastly human being. This was really accepted even by me throughout my whole life, because firstly it was taught to me, and second, according to a rational scientific point of view, it's the most explained, or it's the most easy to accept theory, and it makes sense. To be honest, it made sense to me until I found out that there's actually been some information that's being controlled and suppressed that actually contradicts some of this theory in some aspects of it. I'm not saying that this theory is not valid. I do think that life evolves and that organisms change and adapt and to their surroundings and to their necessities and to the circumstances. But what happens with this theory, as most people understand it, which is we come from ape, then ape man, and then an erect man, and then a thinking man, with no questioning of this. Well, when you get into it and you put it all in a timetable, you have to question it at one point, and this is the point where so many scientists are actually debating over. It's called the famous missing link. It's a link in which the evolution of man kind of leapt and did an unexpected or unexplained sudden leap from man-like ape to a man, a walking man, and a more man form of life. So to put it in a timetable, it is supposedly 25 million years ago that the first ape man appeared on Earth. This is all due to fossil and bone archaeological finds. Then 15,000 million years ago, they placed the first hominids, or man-like beings. So 15 million years in between. 3 million years ago, they classify it as the first Homo ape man. And 2 million years ago, the first Australopithecus. And then almost another million years, or 9,000 years, Homo erectus comes up. And so the chain is gradually coming from an ape-like being, more ape and animal man, than to human-like man. So this makes sense, yeah, sure, if you put it in that scale, millions of years from one type of man to another, and slowly, gradually developing and evolving. But then comes a big mystery which modern scientists still haven't resolved. It's the famous missing link. And this means that in a small space of time after Homo erectus came on, actually it took 2 million years from I'll talk about that later, but it took millions of years from each link of the chain to take an evolving step. And in a small amount of time, from 1,000 years ago, they find that man leapt into a man structure and not an ape structure. This means he no longer showed ape features, but man features. And the famous missing link is this link between ape man and man himself in a really small and reduced amount of time, not millions of years, but thousands only. And this didn't make sense to scientists. They said, why does it take so many millions of years for man to walk straight and for man to develop certain abilities, and so small amount of time for just man to boom into existence out of almost nowhere? And not even that, we just can't find the archaeological bones and finds and discoveries to sustain any kind of theorization. So this missing link was actually thought to be discovered many times by different archaeologists. This guy that found an ape cranium, and then he found 100 meters away a femur bone, and he put them together and said it was the same thing, but it turned out to be just speculation. And they said, no, this is not the missing link. And then the famous Lucy that showed some human features, and the time frame was according. But then again, it was done by just a few scientists that thought she had some human features, but when studied even further, experts actually say that she doesn't have man-like characteristics, or at least enough characteristics to classify her as a in-between. It's more an ape than a man. So Lucy can account for the missing link, and even today it's a big mystery, and the time frame, it's a big mystery. And then this author I read I read one of his books. He's called Zacarias Sitchin. He went into this and he actually questions this thoroughly, and he says, how is it possible that not only man physically, biologically evolves, and we can't find the evidence that shows a link between those, but how is it possible that 35,000 years ago there's a boom culturally? This meaning that it took 2 million years, for man, Australopithecus to Neanderthal man, to develop tools. They actually have very similar tools in 2 million year frame, which is small spear shaped stones and small tools. And in that amount of time, they really didn't progress at all. I mean, they progressed almost insignificantly. And it took 2 million years to him to realize that he could take a stone and kill animals throwing at it, to actually realize that he could chip it off and make a spear. But then this happens throughout all the evolving process, and out of nowhere, 35,000 years ago, they start finding archaeological sites that reveal that pottery and art and culture and even writing was developed in like a boom out of nowhere. It didn't take another million years or another 2 million years to do it, such as an normal evolving progressing graph would expect it to. It didn't take that amount of time. It was literally a boom, and they have no explanation for it, because suddenly these cultures appear, and they not only go from an animal-like behaving man that just survives and doesn't clothe himself and moves along and lives among animals, to a man that actually has settlements and organized society, has religious beliefs, has knows about speaks about the afterlife, and they have rituals for their dead, and they believe in deities, and they start having the alphabet, and they start the alphabet. I mean, they start having paintings and pottery. And how did this happen out of nowhere? Culture, apparently, man being aware of himself as an entity, a thinking entity that has creative ability, that has power to communicate with other men and organize. This wasn't normal in a natural progressive evolution. And many say that this is because, the temperature in the earth changed, and this enabled man to settle. But there have been ice ages all over, and why this didn't happen before in any other heating season or in millions of years, there were so many possibilities that for this boom to happen, that it kind of makes it a mystery unresolved. Why did it happen 35,000 years ago out of nowhere? And they just didn't only settle, but they developed all this knowledge as if their brain was bigger and were capable of doing so many more things, which is also the big mystery of the bones that were not really thinking man appeared out of nowhere. It was just a gigantic leap from ape man. So this connection is actually really mysterious. This takes us to question that what happened here. Was it just a natural process? Was there something, an outside factor that made this process just boom up, or what was it? It's a real mystery, and that it's interesting. According to mainstream science, for example, man appeared in South Africa 100,000 years ago, moved northward and eastward to Asia and to Southeast Asia, then another group to Northeast Asia. 30,000 years ago, it crossed the Bering Pass into North America, and it took another 15,000 years to cross down to go down to South America. So this is the established and formal theory, and it's the accepted theory, and any contradiction to it is really not regarded as anything, because it's outrageous, supposedly. But then this happens a few decades back. An American archaeologist, she goes down to Latin America expecting to find some new finds dating back to a few thousand years, and just naively goes, and she finds some tools and spears and archaic, they're pretty basic tools, but nevertheless she sends them for study and dating, and they did this by two ways, which was uranium, and the other one was using crystals, and what they found was an amazing 200,000 years of antiquity. So this really challenged the whole theory that man got to South America 15,000 years ago. It was pretty impossible. It wasn't 5,000 years before, it was 200,000 years. Okay, so what happened is that she again naively goes to the scientific community, exposes her findings, expecting them to be published and research, because archaeology is based on you find something new, we have to investigate it, because that's what it's about. It's about learning our history. But it turns out they were so preoccupied about the whole constructed theories going down and being questioned that they threatened to take her career away, and that actually happened. They never published anything of hers again, and this didn't really get out. It was really filtered and controlled, just like any internet control or communicational control, like we've seen in our recent history. Whenever there's an interest to protect a certain model of knowledge, of power, of whatever, it is protected in many ways, and this is just what happened over there.